did U.S. government funds explicitly directed towards novel coronavirus research, which led to the worst pandemic in a century and cost the global economy trillions of dollars. The response from the scientific community has been we need more gain-of-function research, $1.2 billion to the Global Virome Project. And so once again, the scientific community wanted all of this covered up. They teamed up with the media.
Oh my God, dude, I'm sorry. This is literally fucking... Oh my God, dude, this is like freakishly Luddite, anti-science. And
Oh my God, this is so bad. He cut Sagar off, and I don't know. I wanted to hear what Sagar had to say. Of course they want to cover this up because they want the money. They want the research to continue. They don't want their huge fuck up. How is this? I mean, I don't understand. How's that anti-science?
That's true.
It's pro-science.
You know, I want evidence to support an idea that there was a cover up. But
yeah,
it is true that without evidence, you could say that it would be within most of the people involved in
motivation,
interest. Yeah, their motivation would be to cover it up. Who are doing that kind of research because
they could continue to do the research. They're like, oh my God, they're going to cut our funding. Our funding's going to be gone. Like they all have jobs doing this. It's not just
exactly.
And also I'm sure, they're literally trying to save the world. Like that's got to be the most gratifying work ever.
Right. Sure, exactly. Because you'd say, wait a minute, if it turned out, as I said, that this was a lab leak, and you'd say, okay, wait a minute, if this was a lab leak, then we should not study any gain of function research whatsoever. Presuming, of course, I don't know if we've ever gained, I don't know what benefits society has accrued from any gain of function research, if any.
But he's saying that this is that the cover up is anti-science, or even.
Well, he's saying claiming that there's a cover up is anti-science.
I think it's more pro-science, but.
And borderline
What's that?
I said I'll be right back.
NASA is actually, dictating that the international scientific community lie that the Earth is actually fucking flat shit. Okay, this is exactly the same thing that flat earthers say, that or the Earth is flat, and also that the international scientific community is lying to you, and they're all led by NASA. But instead, substitute NASA, swap out NASA for Anthony.
He's not saying that the scientific community is lying in some sort of conspiratorial way, as much as he's saying, they would have the motivation to lie, and we should dig in to see if that motivation is actually playing out. But I mean, calling it lying is not necessarily helpful, because if people have the motivation, I'm a firm believer that people don't always lie, outright lie, unintentionally. They mischaracterize things because it's better for them, for their argument, for their tangible well-being. So calling it a lie is not necessarily going to be helpful to the conversation about it.
Fauci. And the Earth is flat isn't that the Earth is flat, but also that science is purposely murdering us. That's crazy, man. That's fucking crazy, dude.
To protect.
He never said science is purposely murdering us. He said science is unintentionally murdering us and covering it up.
Their funding resources.
Because the Earth is flat, but also that science is purposely murdering us. That's crazy, man. That's fucking crazy, dude.
To protect their funding resources. Because what people forget, Fauci is actually the king of funding. The National Institute of Infectious Disease, I believe that's NIAID, that's what he's in charge of. They are the primary funding authority for huge amounts of the scientific community. My dad is a professor at Texas A&M, and so I know a little bit about funding and the way that you keep your tenure positions in a lot of these universities. They have to keep the dollars flowing. So if you admit this is gain of function research, you start asking questions, the NIH and Fauci can fucking cut you off. This is a whole business.
Bro, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Motherfucker said my dad's a professor. I know these things.
Bro, are you kidding me, bro?
It's so bad. How can you? This is all so basic. I don't understand how he's objecting to this.
I know, and if you want to object to it, look it up, find evidence to counter it. Don't just say, "Bro, you said my dad." Wow.
But I mean, aside from the anecdote, I mean, this is I've heard this anecdote from everywhere. Like this seems like uncontested information.
Yes, sure.
You see this everywhere. It's a meme. Publish or perish.
Well, and also, but that's what I'm saying. Look up the information, because if it's true that Fauci has an undue influence on national funding for certain areas, which I don't know if it's true or not. What I have no
In the
fucking clue if it's
university
true.
system?
Right, in the university system. I have no clue if that's true. But assuming that what Sagar said is true, and it is that is the case, and you are the researcher who says, wait a minute, I think I have evidence that there was a lab leak, and I think this lab is connected to Fauci. Okay, the guy who's supposed to give you funding, then obviously there's going to be a conflict of interest there.
Yeah, huge conflict of interest.
Right. And that's all Sagar. Now, Sagar is saying it much more definitively than that, because he's saying that this is true. But so if Hassan wants to counter that, just fucking look it up. Just fucking look it up, Hassan. Do some research. Holy shit. Do some work.
No, don't do that.
I mean, I know he wants to have other people do work for him and then not pay them, as he's done with editors in the past and stuff. But, he's a good socialist. So
I wouldn't do research like that. I'm just constantly reading, constantly. I mean, this doesn't go against any of the stuff that I've read or the narrative that I've read about academia. And I mean,
sure, but
a lot of research is in universities, and the
but you have to
research
be
is like,
careful.
yeah.
Because I agree with you, the motivations that Sagar's laying out and the behaviors
Makes sense, yes.
Makes sense. The question I'm saying, the research, is just to see if Fauci
In
really
this
is in this
specific
position to make
case,
these
yeah,
decisions.
exactly.
Because that's all you'd have to look up. So
That's the
what's Fauci really
tenuous
doing?
connection.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
What is his dad a professor of? He's not wrong. This notion that like there would be
Yeah, see, his chat's even fucking telling him. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
an international cover-up because everyone's worried about like not getting NIH grant.
He's not. Dude, it's such a mischaracterization of Sagar's position. Sagar, I don't think, would come right out and say this is an international cover-up. He's saying
He actually does say that. Later.
Oh, he does? Oh, maybe I'm
think he
talking
does.
shit.
Maybe you are. But where you just like continue your point.
Well, no, that it's not a conspiracy, but people understand the motivation. They're like, listen, if they know that if there was a lab leak, and they're going to cut off funding for gain-of-function research, and we're working on gain-of-function research, we know that our research is going to be cut.
Right.
You might, change your behavior in ways that don't make that happen. That's not a conspiracy. Nobody called you up and said, listen here, we want you to protect the system, right? They're like, I'm going to protect my job.
Right. You're saying that there was no secret meeting where all the gain-of-function scientists got together and said, okay,
exactly.
we're going to lie. You're saying that each individual actor is acting in their own individual interests.
Yes.
So it just happens to.
And I'm assuming that's what Sagar's saying, but you're saying, no, Sagar's saying there was a
I think Sagar says he uses the word cover up, I think, but I don't know if he makes a distinction between, the two types of what you're saying.
Right. Well, it would, cover up is a bad word. I don't know how you would say what I'm saying, because it is a type of cover up. I mean, people are individually covering up where they can.
Right.
Yeah. But this is the same argument on the right. It's with the election. That the election fraud happened there was no conspiracy. People just
a bunch of individuals. Well, I don't know. Some of them some of them say it was a massive deep state conspiracy, and some of them say no, it's just a bunch of individual actors all.
Yeah, cheating.
Yeah, right. For some reason there were no individual Republican actors cheating to somehow counteract that, but it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, gotcha. Sorry to trigger you. Should have had a trigger warning on that comment.
You should have put the little trigger in there. Yes.
Trigger warning.
Fucking stupid, dude.
Election truth coming.
Guys, did you know that it's bad that there's Holocausting people in China, but in America we put people in prison. In America, we don't have open borders. It's just it's the same thing, guys. I don't know if you knew that. It's the same thing.
No universal health care is basically like a genocide.
That's true. That's a good point. That's excellent.
All this it's what we call a genocide of the sick people. I don't know if you know this. It's a genocide of the cancer patients.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's this notion that like there would be an international cover-up because everyone's worried about like not getting NIH grants is so fucking stupid, dude. That's not how this works, man. The NIAD isn't the only fucking institute that engages in public grants. That's why they're constantly, you know, hiding the truth, dude. That's why scientific research is like, you know, it never actually contradicts itself later down.
A lot of the universities get their research money from government, from federal institutions, though. So,
Of course.
that's a fact, Jack.
Right. Definitely.
And they do. I mean, they wield over them all the time, saying, you know, oh, if you don't. I mean, there was that memo that the Obama administration sent out about Title IX. You know, get your act in order. We're going to cut your funding. They have all kinds of revenue sources for funding. But the argument is that Dr. Fauci pulls the strings for a lot of those funding sources, right? Did you look it up? It sounds like maybe you did.
Well, I looked up. I tried to look it up. The first thing I found was it says the National Institute of Health earmarked $600,000 for the Wuhan Institute of Virology over a 5-year period to study whether bat coronaviruses could be transmitted to humans.
Wow. $600,000. Kind of chump change, but it's definitely in the right
but it shows that they're doing the literal thing that would make the corona.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Kind of chump change, but it is kind of exactly the scenario that we're looking for. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, $600,000 is nothing to sneeze at.
Sure. But in the terms of like government funding, it's not like
some of these machines are like $600,000.
Right. Fauci, the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, told a House Appropriations Subcommittee that the money was funneled to the Chinese lab through the nonprofit Eco Health Alliance. That's part of the problem. All this money is all funneled through all these various fucking channels. It's like you have to untangle this mess of a web to fund a modest collaboration with very respectable Chinese scientists who are experts on coronavirus. Doesn't it sound like Trump wrote that?
Yeah, it does.
Very respectable Chinese scientists. We're the experts on coronavirus. It's weird that Fauci said that. Fauci vehemently denied that the money went toward so-called gain-of-function research, which he described as taking a virus that can infect humans and making it either more transmissible and or pathogenic for humans. That categorically was not done. Well, I'd have to see it. I wish they had like his whole statement here, because that could be like that sounds like that could be one of those things where he's defining it very specifically in order to deny it without actually denying it. Because if they're literally studying if bats can transmit it to humans, I mean, that sounds like gain of function research to me. I don't, unless his only contention is they were studying it they weren't changing the virus themselves, which how would he know that?
He wouldn't.